I power walked down to that pile of gummy bears and back. I should probably set the pile out further, or closer, so I can get at them.
Gummy bears. Move the pile out farther or closer so I can get at him. Oh, Meatwad. So innocent. So stupid. But hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Power Up Podcast. It's a podcast that talks about pop culture. We try to keep ourselves up to date in what's happening in the pop culture news and fields, ranging from anime, manga, video games, all that fun stuff. Stuff that I enjoy, hopefully stuff that you enjoy. Take a look at what's good, what's bad, what is pretty much ugly in terms of like just the garbage that's happening. And sometimes even the spiritual when I see the opportunity to bring it up. With the goal in the end to, just keep that nostalgic flame alive in terms of reminding everyone that we can always go back to the past to enjoy things that we enjoyed and to be entertained just for entertainment's sake. And I think there's definitely is a shift happening in today's gaming. And will we ever return to how everything was in the past? Absolutely not, But I think we can go back to that chance of taking a gamble. It seems like to me, like in the 80s, your 90s and all that stuff, like you could just do something to do it. And if it succeeded, it succeeded. And if it failed, it failed, sort of thing. But nowadays there's a bunch of infestation being inserted into entertainment that no one asked for. And we need to remove it immediately and burn those suckers in terms of weeds, as I would say. So if you enjoy this show, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button and turn on notifications to get notified when I go live. Look at that fancy little... I need to make better ones, honestly. I need to make like a better banner. And then you can find my other social media listed in the description below on YouTube and Rumble. And on X, you can check out my page. Find the link in my bio, and you can follow me over there if you so wish. But got some articles here that caught my eye. Big one being the Onimusha stuff. I guess I usually try to find like the topic that's really sparked my interest and what, from the different articles that we find. And it's Onimusha this time around. I actually got done playing the Onimusha series not too long ago, 1 through 3, and then oh my goodness, technically the 4th one, but it's like Dawn of Dreams or something. Onimusha Dawn of Dreams. Okay. The name was a slip in my mind. We played that one. But yeah, really enjoyed it. So it was really cool to see a new Onimusha game coming. Hopefully it doesn't get bastardized in any way, shape, and form. But let's hop into this, shall we? Well, bam. So like I said, got some articles that just caught my eye. And we'll see what they have to say. This comes from Tech for Gamers. And talking about the PS6, according to this article, apparently from a former PlayStation executive, a PS6, or the PS6, whenever it'll come out, is unlikely to be an all-digital console, which sounds good. I know a lot of people, what was it, IGN put out an article or something that talks about how like the tariffs and stuff is going to hurt the video game thing. And it's like, oh my gosh, just shut up already. But let's just see what this has to say. So digital gaming has grown at an unprecedented rate. And because they purposely set it up to make it the most convenient possible while also secretly, well, not secretly, some companies secretly, a lot of companies very openly telling you that you do not own the game. Over the years, making a steady shift away from physical copies, whether it be PlayStation or Xbox, gaming giants around the globe see most of their income from digital purchases today. This shift has sparked concerns about the companies potentially abandoning abandoning physical games altogether in the future. However, one former PlayStation executive reckons physical games is still big enough for Sony not to ignore with the PS6. Both Xbox and PlayStation already offered diskless models this generation. Sony also launched the PS5 Pro without a disk drive, offering users the ability to purchase one as an add-on, which is bullshit. On the latest episode of the Kiwi Talks podcast, Sean Layden was asked whether the PS6 would become completely diskless. This question was brought up in relation to the gaming giant's decision to launch the PS5 Pro without a disk drive. And the former PlayStation executive was quick to point out how big Sony's gaming market is. He noted that Xbox had had more success with this strategy since its market is much smaller. On the other hand, Sony's gaming influence spans over 100 countries. This means that the PS6 could risk losing out on millions of potential customers around the globe if it does not offer a proper disk drive. So this is the quote: Sony's market is globally so huge, I think it'll be hard for them to go fully diskless, even with the next generation. He also discussed instances like athletes traveling with their consoles or military officers playing games on their hardware without access to internet connections. These examples highlight why a disc-based PS6 would still be very relevant a few years from now. And then just a question that the article... That's a very good point about, athletes traveling with their consoles, and especially the military officers playing games over their hardware when they don't have internet. Very good point. Again, a kind of ignoring the big question at hand is the fact a lot of people want to own their games. And when you're paying upwards of $70 for a digital copy just so that you could play it like a day early or some, whatever the early access stuff is, should be more than enough of a reason to declare that we actually own the game. But these companies don't want you to own the game. Even Steam. That's why I'm kind of looking into going more with GOG, which has their preservation thing that they started, to where you can actually keep the EXEs to install stuff. And it's like with their own, I think with their own software. Like I have Star Wars Rebel Assault 2 and it opens up DOSBox. But, I can still reinstall it later if I wanted to. And that's the thing that really should be with Steam and with these digital stuff, is that we should be able to back up and keep our stuff and not have something to where, well, you can, but in the coding, you need to be connected to the Sony specific servers or the DRMA, that garbage stuff, or Steam, because Steam has its own stuff too. Why is my phone exploding? Okay, sorry about that. But yeah, that's something that I think, people still want an answer for. But yeah, I think, I'd like to at least put my faith in this guy, and I agree to where it'd be foolish to just make a full diskless console, but who knows? Who knows? So hopping over to that Park Place, Dragon Age The Veilguard director Corin Bush, hired by Wizards of the Coast for Skeleton Key Studios after leaving BioWare. I've been seeing this floating around. But we'll read about it. So in a move that has sparked a media controversy and proved that it's more than possible to fail upward, you can fall upwards as well in the gaming world, Wizards of the Coast have reportedly hired Dragon Age The Veilguard director Corin Bush to work, I don't know if that's how you pronounce her name, but that's what I'm going to be going with, to work at its newly formed Skeleton Key Studios. This development, first reported by Diversity in Dragons and later confirmed by YouTuber Smash JT, suggests that the Veilguard director has quietly landed a new role despite producing the most notorious bomb in BioWare's long-running RPG history. And then Bush left BioWare shortly thereafter, claiming that it was a voluntary move. Sure it was. This came just before BioWare gutted the entire studio, laying off most of the activist writers who worked under Bush on Veilguard. Oh, I was thinking of someone else. I saw it like there was like someone else talking about like one of the company. They like realized finally that the company didn't care about them. And it's like, of course they don't. Like this should not have been a surprise. I forget what it was, but anyway. According to Smash JT, an anonymous source within Wizard of the Coast discovered Bush's name listed on the company's internal team organization chart, confirming the hire before any public announcement was made. The source reportedly expressed great frustration over the hiring. I'm not pleased about this turn of events, the source reportedly said to Smash. In the image above, we can see right there that Bush listed as part of the Skeleton Key team under the title of Game Director. Bush's departure from BioWare came shortly after the disastrous launch of The Veilguard, a game that embraced divisive gender politics and fell drastically short of expectation. Originally projected to sell over 10 million copies, the game failed to break even 1.5 million, marking one of BioWare's worst performing titles. The backlash centered around the departure from the franchise's core RPG roots, with many longtime fans criticizing the game's direction as prioritizing ideological messaging over meaningful gameplay. But despite the controversy, Bush has now joined Skeleton Key, a studio led by former BioWare Austin head Christian Daly. Skeleton Key's first project is described as a AAA title focused on immersive gameplay and unique storytelling. That's like, dude, this is every video game studio's goal. Immersive gameplay and unique storytelling. So to describe their first project, to be like, what's your first project? Oh yeah, ours is to make a AAA title focused on immersive gameplay and unique storytelling. It's like, dude, that should just be a given at this point. Like, what exactly are you doing in terms of, like, you know, wowing people? It's the same dance stamp stuff over and over again in terms of, like, this is our goal to do it. And it's like, if it wasn't your goal to do it, I'd be more interested in it, you know? But every gaming studio has this goal. So it's not, like, special. Though concerns have already emerged regarding the direction of the studio with the latest hiring decision. Smash JT questioned why Wizards of the Coast has remained silent on Bush's hiring, suggesting that the company may be attempting to avoid backlash. Bush's hiring at Skeleton Key seems to have been deliberately kept under wraps, most likely to avoid backlash from the gaming community, Smash JT noted. Wizards of the Coast has faced its own share of controversy in recent years, particularly regarding Dungeons & Dragons and Magic the Gathering, both of which have seen significant fan pushback over changes to established lore, monetization strategies, and corporate-driven policies, much of which focuses around divisive ideology. Now, with Bush's joining the company, critics argue that Wizards of the Coast is doubling down on an approach that has already alienated much of its core audiences. This is what I love about these companies, too. Like, everyone just apparently just wants to go down with the ship. Like, apparently they're totally fine, like, losing money. It's absolutely hilarious. So, given the widespread criticism of the Veilguard and the perception that it fails, that its failure stemmed from leadership decisions, Bush's hiring raises concerns about the future of Skeleton Key. Many in the gaming community see this as a high-risk move that could further damage the reputation of Wizards of the Coast, a company already struggling to maintain goodwill with its audiences. As this news spreads, one thing remains certain: Wizards of the Coast will not be able to keep this hiring a secret for long. With the gaming industry under more scrutiny than ever, this decision will likely be watched closely by both supporters and skeptics alike. Yeah, I think there's going to be a time when people like this are constant, like people, like companies are going to have enough of the rotating around and stuff like that. And again, I think it has to be when a big AAA studio just completely fails and goes bankrupt. Me personally, I'm putting my money on Ubisoft because apparently Ubisoft wants to be that company. Who knows why? I guess they think maybe they'll go out with a bang or something like that when in the end like no one's going to care because it's the shell of what it was back in the day. But, you know, BioWare is not going well, Wizards of the Coast not doing well. They just do not give a shit at all. Jumping on over to Video Game Chronicle here. Got some Switch 2. Nintendo says it's making preparations for Switch 2 resellers. And Shuntaro Furukawa says Nintendo will put measures in place to prevent Switch 2 scalpers. All right. Let's see what they're going to plan on doing. Nintendo's president has said the company will put measures in place to prevent resellers from significantly impacting Nintendo Switch's 2 launch supplies. Speaking to the Japanese press for the first time since Switch's 2 announcement on Tuesday, Shuntaro Furukawa was asked how Nintendo plans to ensure a smooth launch for the console, especially considering the original Switch's history of stock shortages, which were often exacerbated by those seeking to resell console for profit. Furukawa said Nintendo has made preparations based on its past experience and plan to prepare enough Switch 2 console inventory to meet demand. He said via Nikkei, or not Kai, Nikkei, I guess, translated by VGC, we will take all possible measures based on the experience we have accumulated to date regarding scalpers and the like. We are making preparations. Well, that's it. We're making preparations. I thought there was going to be more to it. Following more than a year of leaks and speculation, it announced Switch 2 last month with a full reveal and global hands-on events planning beginning in April. According to an earlier report, Nintendo had planned to launch Switch 2 in late 2024, but priority was given to ensure the initial inventory of the successor console and a lineup of software titles at the time of its launch in an attempt to avoid widespread reselling. And then market research firm Circana has predicted that the Nintendo Switch 2 will sell over 4 million units in the United States alone in 2025 if it's released in the first half of the year, accounting for approximately 1/3 of all video game console hardware units sold this year. Another research firm, DFC Intelligence, predicts that Switch 2 sales will exceed 80 million units by the end of 2028, which is more than the original Switch managed during its first 3 years on sale, 55.77 million. So, Toyo Securities analyst Yasuda Hidekai told Nikkei he expects Switch 2 sales to reach 6 million units in its first 3 months. And then Nintendo confirmed on Tuesday that Switch sold 4.82 million units over the holiday season for a total of 9.54 million since April 1st, 2024, and 150.86 million life to date. Switch has to clear 154 million Nintendo DS and 160 million PS2 to become the best-selling console in history. Yeah, they're climbing up there on that title of the best-selling console in history. And then speaking to the Japanese media, Furukawa also said Nintendo will continue to support Switch 1 after Switch 2's launch. Well, there you go. Look at that. Would you just look at it? I don't know. I'm still don't really have any interest in getting the Switch 2 unless I can get a good deal where I can trade in my Switch and get this, to go towards the price of a Switch 2. Right now, I'm kind of indifferent about the whole thing. So, hopping back over to that Park Place, Leslie Headland's wife, Rebecca Henderson, once again blames fans for the Acolyte cancellation. Touts Star Wars show's ratings as though there's something to brag about. Yeah, I saw this and I had to see what the hell she's talking about. So, the cast of the Acolyte continued to tout the show's ratings, despite the fact that Objective numbers show that hardly anyone watched it. However, this group of people seems insistent on doubling down and trying to blame anyone but themselves or the creator, showrunner, and Harvey Weinstein's former personal assistant, Leslie Headland, for the show's cancellation. Instead, Leslie Headland's wife is putting the blame where it really belongs. On you. That would be me, even though I didn't watch it. And I guess me. By the way, this is an editorial, so it's going to be a little more freeform than usual. Ready? All right, here we go. The fallout from the Acolyte's disastrous performance continues, but rather than accepting reality, Leslie Headland's wife, Rebecca Henderson, has decided to lash out at fans. They always do, every time. In a recent social media post, Henderson, who played Greenskin Jedi Master Vernestra Raw in the series, a casting choice that I'm sure had nothing to do with being married to the showrunner, blamed the Acolyte's cancellation on its critics and Star Wars fans while touting misleading data about the show's performance. But juxtapose that with the fact that those big IP franchises were still the best performing series on Disney Plus, and a solution became unclear. Percy Jackson and the Olympian was top dog on Disney Plus last year with over 3 billion minutes viewed, and the Acolyte came in second with 2.7 billion. There you go. Tell me again they canceled the show because no one watched it and not because you know why. No, I don't know why. Is it because the show was a pile of fucking garbage? Maybe that's the reason why it got canceled. Henderson shared a headline that promoted the Acolyte rating, describing the series, and we just read that. You know what? Based on the obnoxious way she said that, coupled with the fact that she has to be intentionally trying to mislead, and that this is an editorial where I, the editor, can say what I want, I'm only referring to her as Leslie Headland's wife. From here on out, capitalize as though it's a proper noun. While she didn't elaborate on what you know why meant, the implication is clear. Leslie Headland's wife appears to suggest that the Acolyte was canceled for reasons other than terrible ratings. And in the world of this cast, that typically means racism and sexism. This echoes comments made by series star, a term that's only appropriate because she burned out, Amanda Stenberg, who played two characters with one facial expression. Yeah, I saw that. She had like no facial range whatsoever. It was like looking at a piece of wood. Oh my gosh. And that's insulting to a piece of wood because at least a piece of wood has different texture into it and then you could actually get something different out of it. Literally just this look. The entire time. And always the insufferable Jodie Turner-Smith. But here's the problem. Scroll back up to the image. You see at the bottom where it says, read the entire post here? If you do, you'll see that the very article she shared contained the truth about the show's failure. Anyone who actually reads it would realize that The Acolyte, being Disney's Plus second most watched series, is not a victory for The Acolyte. It's a devastating and scathing indictment of Disney Plus's struggles, because The Acolyte's rank on Disney's Plus means absolutely nothing. Had the wife, I'm shortening it for brevity's sake, and apparently I even shortened it even more, or anyone else actually clicked on the full report, I'm assuming she did, and she's banking on the fact you wouldn't, they would have quickly seen that being the second most watched show on Disney Plus isn't something to brag about. It's proof on how far the platform has fallen. As we previously reported, The Acolyte pulled in 2.7 billion minutes viewed, which might sound decent until you compare it to the industry standard. There you go. Apparently, Fool Me Once ranked number 1, 12.11 billion minutes watched. Bridgerton, Landman, The Perfect Couple, Tesla King, Monster, The Lyle and Eric Menendez Story, The Gentleman, Fallout. Yeah, look at that. Not even on the list. Lowest ranking show in the top 10 streaming originals of the year, Netflix's Love is Blind pulled in 7.3 billion minutes viewed. That's nearly 3 times the viewership of The Acolyte. Meanwhile, Netflix completely dominated the ranks with 7 of the top 10 spots, while Paramount Plus and Amazon Prime also made the list. There you go. Disney Plus was completely absent. Let's put this in simpler terms. If The Acolyte is the second most watched show on Disney Plus, and yet it still wasn't anywhere close to being a top performing show in streaming, then what does that say about Disney Plus? It says that Disney Plus doesn't have a single show capable of competing with Netflix, Amazon, or Paramount Plus in 2024. That's not a flex, that's an embarrassment. And while LHW seems eager to mock fans, she conveniently ignores the fact that the Acolyte's viewership actually collapsed over its run. As we previously covered, the show started with high numbers upon release, as most shows do, but it hemorrhaged viewers each week, steadily declining until the finale recorded the lowest viewership of the entire series. You see, while it's a good thing when your show starts with high viewerships, it's not great when that's your peak. That's actually the opposite of what happens when audiences are engaged. In a successful show, viewership holds steady or even increases leading up to the finale as anticipation builds. Instead, The Acolyte repelled viewers to the point that most of them didn't even bother watching the series. Yes, this is just common sense. Why this retard doesn't understand it is beyond me. That's what I think. So when compared to Percy Jackson's and the Olympians, which also aired on Disney Plus, The Acolyte's performance looks even worse. Percy Jackson debuted 9 days before Illuminate started counting, meaning its first episode wasn't even counted in the Illuminate 2024 report, yet it still beat Acolyte in total viewership. Ouch. That's how little interest The Acolyte generated despite Star Wars branding, a massive marketing push, and endless access media support. So while our friend LHW's post truly exposes is not the success of The Acolyte, but the dire state of Lucasfilms and Disney Plus. It was supposed to be a major rating hit and a huge addition to the Star Wars canon, yet it turned into one of the least watched and most reviled projects in the franchise. The power of many, or what is it? The power of one, the power of two, the power of many. Oh my gosh. And while its failure is bad enough, the fact it was still the second most watched show on Disney Plus tells you something much worse. Disney has no hits. Well, no original hits anyway. People seem to love Bluey. Holy crap, this article goes on for a good chunk. So this is why The Acolyte being canceled wasn't some grand conspiracy against the show's message or its creators, though both of these things were truly terrible. It was a financial decision. And I feel like I've read this stuff before because you have UK tax document unearthed by Dat Park Place revealed that Lucasfilms and Disney shelled out a staggering. Yeah, I remember reading this. Yeah, they put a ridiculous amount of money into the series production. CEO Alan Bergman said as much when he commented on the series. We were happy with our performance, but it wasn't where we needed to be to make a season 2. So that's the reason why we didn't do that. Yeah, we read that in past articles. Disney Plus is in a position to keep hemorrhaging money on underperforming content, with the Star Wars brand decaying faster than a Dratcon under the Tatooine Sun. Under Kathleen Kennedy's leadership, Lucasfilms is no longer able to sustain flops the way it once could. And it's no surprise that Leslie Headland has now quietly exited her Netflix project, The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, just as The Acolyte's failure became undeniable. Gosh. Yeah, I remember hearing about that. Ugh. Simply put, I say this to LHW and the rest of her castmates. The fans aren't the problem. The show was. You were. Your friends were. Your wife was. It's your wife's fault, ma'am. Sorry, I have to be the one to tell you this. And to soften the blow, I'll let someone a little closer to home explain it to you. Here's what Leslie Headland had to say about the potential failure of the Acolyte rating when she spoke to the New York Times. If it doesn't succeed, it's because of me, Headland said. That's really scary to think about. But you didn't give a crap about doing it. I think so. Leslie Headland's wife, going back to her full God-given name because I'm wrapping up and I want to make my point here, wants to lash out at fans. She's free to do so. And the fans and editor-in-chief entertainment news websites are allowed to laugh at her about it. They're also allowed to write songs about it. And then there's a video of that. Fact remains that The Acolyte was not hit, as the rating as the ratings will show. I'm fairly certain that myself and countless other content creators made more money off of this show than Disney did, because I'm pretty sure that if you made even $1 a profit off covering The Acolyte, then you've officially made better than anyone at Disney or Lucasfilms associated with this dumpster fire. Ouch. Oh my goodness gracious. I'll close by saying The Acolyte did not have strong engagements and it was canceled for any reason other than poor performance. And it wasn't canceled, excuse me. No amount of snarky social media posts can change that reality. If anything, Henderson's outburst only reinforces what audience already knew. People behind The Acolyte were interested in developing a good Star Wars story. They were interested in pushing their retarded narrative. I threw retarded in there, but it gets the message across. And insulting the very fan base they expected, that was expected to support them. It's no wonder in the end the audience walked away and The Acolyte ended up exactly where it belonged. Forgotten. Ouch, what a sting. What a sting. I feel like I've covered this, but apparently BioWare, coming from that Park Place as well, is down to less than 100 employees after mass layoffs decimate Dragon Age the Veilguard. Yikes. Yikesaroo. The previous reported BioWare layoffs have gutted the once legendary RPG studio, leaving it with fewer than 100 employees, according to a new report from Bloomberg. This is a stunning decline for the more than 200 developers who worked on Dragon Age the Veilguard, and an even more dramatic fall from BioWare's peak, when the company operated across 3 studios and employed well over 400 people. My goodness. And Electronic Arts restructuring of BioWare was initially framed as a way to reallocate talent to other projects, particularly as Mass Effect remains in early production, despite it being announced 5 years ago. However, as more details emerge, it's clear that this wasn't just a shift in resources, it was a culmination of years of mismanagement and decline, leading to a near total collapse of BioWare as a development powerhouse. And then edits. Then we get some backstory here. BioWare was the most respected RPG studios in the world, one of the most. You have Mass Effect, Dragon Age, Star Wars, Knights of the Old Republic, which I still need to play, by the way. Knights of the Old Republic, I also do need to play Mass Effect, but under EA's leadership, the studio has been in a steady decline for the past decade, with each new project plagued by creative confusion, studio mismanagement, and an increasing emphasis on live service monetization over strong storytelling. And then while EA's latest restructuring announcement tried to downplay the BioWare layoffs, the numbers speak for themselves. More than half of the studio has been wiped out since work began on the Veilguard, and the final blow came after the game's disastrous performance. EA has originally planned to, quote, loan developers to other teams while Mass Effect is still in early production, but once it became clear that Veilguard has missed its sale targets by nearly 50%, those relocations became permanent, and with over 200 additional staff members laid off outright. Ooh, we got a list here of how the studio was back in the day. 2010, over 300 people. 2014, that was in BioWare Montreal, leading Mass Effect Andromeda. BioWare Austin, between 80 and 150 developers working on Shadow Realms, a game that was later canceled. Womp womp. 2017, 320 employees were working at BioWare Edmonton, the studio's original flagship location. 2019 had BioWare at a combined workforce of around 450 employees spanning Edmonton, Austin, and Montreal. Compare that today, where BioWare operating as a single team operation with fewer than 100 employees. This level of downsizing signals that EA has no long-term vision for the studio beyond one final shot at reviving Mass Effect. Dear Lord, they are just going down the drain. BioWare layoffs are just the latest in the long series of missteps that have eroded the company's standing as North America's premier RPG developer. Got bad reputation, constant pivots, misguided live service experiments, and a complete misunderstanding of what made the studio successful in the first place. Yeah, and I heard Andromeda and Anthem were clear warning signs that EA was steering BioWare in the wrong direction. Yeah, I heard that I was going to say that Mass Effect one I heard was bad. Then, of course, you got your Veilguard, which was hot garbage. And now it's just kind of summarizing kind of what we already know. Got your Mass Effect. It's going to be a last-ditch effort. And who knows? It depends. It depends on like if like some of the tourists and terrible people like wormed their way back into like being in Mass Effect. But although they're saying a lot of the veterans are working on the Mass Effect one, so who knows? But there you go. BioWare down to 100. Does it deserve it? Who? Probably. They can reap the seeds they sow. On some rather uplifting news here, Gina Carano moves forward with her lawsuit against Disney, and that she shares encouraging update after outpouring of fan support on Cara Dune. So she left a post right here, just a little update on my lawsuit against Disney Lucasfilms. The case continues to move forward, and I anticipate having a more substantive update in the next few weeks. And that we remain determined, and my team has been exceptionally in honoring the court and respecting. Let's see if is there a quote down here. There we go. And respecting the process. I'm very proud to have this team. She also tagged her attorney, Jean Shiar, highlighting confidence in the legal team. Additionally, Carano thanked fans for celebrating Cara Dune Day, an annual tribute to her Mandalorian character that takes place on January 3rd. 30th. Almost said 3rd. 30th. Thank you all for your continued support on X, she said. Cara Dune Day yesterday, January 30th, touched my heart. Onward. And then, yeah, so, and it looks like this article, yeah, it's being padded kind of about kind of what happened and whatnot. And I've read that plenty of times on past streams. But they are moving forward, so hats off to Gina Carano, and I wish nothing but the success. And hope you win, and tell Disney to shove it right up their asshole. Because ridiculous of the double standards, and it will be amazing when she wins that case. All right. So, Niche Gamer, another place I like to look around and see what's happening. Apparently, Onimusha, Way of the Sword, shares a video message from key staff. So, Capcom has shared a new message from key staff on Onimusha, Way of the Sword, their new entry in their beloved action series. Here's a rundown on the game, plus the video message from both producer Akihito Karawaki and director Satoru Nihei. Onimusha Way of the Sword is an action game and an all-new adventure in the classic Onimusha franchise. Series' first new installment in nearly 2 decades. Returns to a dark fantasy feudal Japan where samurai clash with the supernatural, cutting-edge combat. And then Onimusha is rooted in the Sengoku period, Japanese legendary age of warring states. The game's infuse history with Japanese folklore to tell tales of warriors who wield the mystical power of the Oni. These heroes are drawn into conflict with the Genma, relentless monsters hell-bent on conquering the world. The franchise debuted in 2001 and instantly captivated players with its satisfying sword-based combat and exhilarating ice and counterattack mechanic. Oh my gosh. I felt like I was so terrible with the Isen or Isen counterattack mechanic. I could do it most of the time, but I was just terrible at it. I think I noticed that the more I played the series, like it felt like the worse I got with it. Like I felt like I did the best with the first game, which possibly could be the most difficult one. I don't know. Series also gained recognition for its spellbinding stories portraying historical figures and real events in the dark fantasy setting. Now, having grown in popularity as one of Capcom's best-selling properties, Onimusha is entering a whole new era. Way of the Sword takes place in Kyoto during the early Edo period. In this time of relative peace for Japan, malice has been befallen has befallen the ancient city, twisted into an eerie and unsettling place. Kyoto has been infested by the demonic Genma, and in the debut trailer for Onimusha Way of the Sword, a lone samurai armed with the Oni Gauntlet engages in fierce, blood-soaked sword fights with these hellish creatures from another world. So we've got the video here. I think got my speakers on. Let's take a gander. I think I'm not sure if this is a new trailer or not. I'm trying to remember. Looks sick though. Yeah. Absorb them swords. Or orbs. What's up, Blastoise? Hello, how are you? Onimusha was the first game I bought on PS2 back in 2001. Wasn't the first game I had, because we got a PS2 with my brother. He got Grand Theft Auto 3 and I got Dynasty Warriors 3. Onimusha was dope though.
Getting less human by them.
Oh, it was in English.
Hello, everybody. My name is Karawaki, and I'm producer on Onimusha, Way of the Sword. Thank you for tuning in. This title is the newest entry in Capcom's sword fighting action game series, Onimusha.
Cool.
To add some detail to what we showed in the video, in this game, we are taking Onimusha's signature sword fighting action and dark fantasy elements, and using Capcom's latest technology to make this new game as captivating as possible. We're focusing on 3 core aspects. Compelling characters, including a new protagonist and enemies that are interesting more than just visually.
Okay, that's cool.
The setting of Kyoto, a location brimming with historic spots.
Good old Kyoto. Your favorite was Onimusha 2, but glad you're bringing it back. Or they're bringing it back.
The ultimate sword fighting action. These are the 3 core aspects we're working to.
I wonder what they're planning to do for Sword.
I would like to introduce the director of this title, Nihei.
Nihei.
Hello. I am the director of Onimusha Way of the Sword, Nihei.
Hello, Nihei.
Thank you for your time.
You are most welcome.
We decided to set this game in the Edo period of historic Japan. You'll explore historic locations around Kyoto, such as Kiyomizu-dera Temple, and the heroic tale of a soul samurai fighting against hordes of twisted creatures known as Genma. The protagonist, due to a twist of fate, finds himself wielding an Oni Gauntlet. Now in Onimusha, he sets about mowing down the monstrosities roaming the world of the living and feeding their souls to the Gauntlet. Through gritty, bloody-soaked blood, he searches for his reason to fight. What fate awaits at the end of his path?
I don't know. Monsters, I assume.
To real-life historical figures, you will meet a cast of unique characters.
Oh, okay. I know in the first games, the biggest one was Nobunaga.
Beautifully eerie depiction of Kyoto. Now, to talk about the action of the game.
Action.
With sword-to-sword combat, we put particular emphasis on the satisfaction of slicing through enemies.
Nice. I would hope so. I feel like that's kind of like the main goal.
There's also plenty of soul-sucking action with the Oni Gauntlet.
Nobunaga was a great villain. Yeah, he was intense.
Your health, as well as use special moves. Deciding how to absorb the souls of your enemy in the heat of an intense battle will be the key to victory.
I did enjoy the ice
Trying
and
to make an impossibly difficult game. Instead, we want to make a game where fans of action can experience thrilling sword fights and take satisfaction from slaying their enemies.
okay.
We sincerely hope you look forward to what we are creating.
Interesting.
The footage we showed earlier was from a short version of the trailer.
Ah, I thought
The
so.
full version is available right now on the
Is that pretty
game's
much
website, so we hope
all we
you will
got?
watch.
I think. Yeah.
Be on PlayStation.
Okay. Very cool. So definitely interested into like what they're planning to do with the sword attacks and whatnot. Because with the ice and I always do like that element to where if you can master it, like you can just slice and dice people, so quick, so fast. It's kind of like your what is it? I haven't played Neo, but is Neo kind of the same way where if you can figure out how to like attack at the right point, you can just kill like people like super quick, a boss as you think of like being tough, having phases and stuff, but if you understand the controls and stuff, you can just, slice and dice through them so fast. I like the concept of it. I just feel like I'm always terrible at it. So as you can see, as for me, like flipping between the stuff. So that was some new information about the new Onimusha game, but apparently there's a PS2 remaster coming. And that Onimusha Way of the Sword will deliver the ultimate sword fighting action. So Capcom reveals new details on Onimusha Way of the Sword and confirmed that a remaster version of the PS2 title Onimusha 2 Samurai's Destiny will be released this year. Okay, so it's the same trailer that we just watched here. This comes from Video Game Chronicle, but I think they are literally quoting what we just watched. Yeah, well, I wanted to know more about the PS2 remaster. Maybe Niche Gamer has it. Onimusha 2 Samurai's Destiny Remaster announced. Capcom has announced Onimusha 2 Samurai's Destiny Remaster for modern platforms. The new Onimusha 2 Samurai's Destiny is in development for Windows PC via Switch, Xbox One, Nintendo... Wait. Did I say like Nintendo Switch twice? Well, if I didn't get the point across, it's coming out for the Nintendo Switch and PlayStation 4. With the release set of 2025, here's a brief blurb on the remaster, plus a trailer first. Okay, good. We got the trailer. So, remaster of Onimusha 2, Samurai's Destiny. It's also revealed to be in development. Initial release in 2002, became the best-selling entry in the series, and garnering acclaim for its flashy gameplay and branching storyline. Here we go. Nice. Hopefully they remaster all the games. I felt like they did. I could have sworn they remastered something like the first one. I could have sworn they did. I played the OG original because that's what I have. So I played with tank controls and everything, which I feel like with this game, like you're better off doing it. Well, they certainly cleaned up the in cutscenes. There's Nobunaga. Believe in the first game, we shoot an arrow gets shot through his throat.
My name is...
Oh yeah, I forgot about
Gogandantis, the
Gogandantis
greatest
with his
swordsman of
nipple
all
armor.
demons.
I'm used to tank controls. Yeah, I can get used to, like, I'm fine with tank controls because I grew up playing games with tank controls, so nothing new to me. That is pretty much all I had in terms of, like, games and news that caught my eye. There's obviously the Fantastic Four trailer that dropped. I watched a little bit of it, but I'm not super interested in it, and people are already talking about on how like garbage the animation looks in it. But let's wind down here with taking a look at the games that were released over the years, particularly on this day. See if we have any ones that we can remember back in the day. And maybe if you guys never played before, you check them out. I'll let you know which ones I've played. I've heard of Armored Core, Master of the Arena, but I never played it. Got your Sims. I believe they just released the Sims 2 Ultimate Legacy Collection or something. Serious Sam: The Second Encounter. No idea what that game is. I just find Serious Sam a funny title. Yeah, I've been seeing X post on Fantastic Four, and it's not too good. Yeah, doesn't look too hot. God Eater, Abyss of the Sacrifice. I swear I've heard of God Eater, but I thought it didn't like do so hot. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm thinking of something else. Oh, here you go. Naruto Shippuden, Ultimate Ninja Storm 4. Oh gosh, Apex Legends. I played Apex Legends a couple years ago, but Apex Legends ultimately killed the Titanfall franchise, which I will never forgive them for it, because Titanfall was awesome, and there needs to be more Titanfall. Oh, did Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, was that released today? Apparently, according to this, it is. All right, so some interesting game. Columns Crown. I've heard of that. So that was from Game Facts. They usually do like Japanese and American releases, but hop over to Moby Games. They go on a more worldwide area. So let's see if anything jumps out for us. You got your Legacy of Kain Defiance Special Edition if you're in Germany. Donkey Kong King of Swing, apparently in Greece for the Game Boy Advance. I have heard of R-Type. Believe that's like one of those space shooters. I think I've played the Super Nintendo one. It was pretty good. I do like those kind of games. I like more of like Aerial Fighters 2. Like those type of games, which in a way it's kind of similar. I don't know, just for me it just depends. But I've heard R-Type is solid. Star Ocean's The Last Hope International for the PlayStation 3. Japan, R-Type is a shooter. Yeah, I thought it was. Isn't it like a space shooter, or am I probably get my games mixed up? Ooh, Far Cry Complete. Steam release for Windows worldwide. There you guys go if you like your Far Cry. Dooper doop. All right, we're in 2016 right now, and that's kind of where I start losing hope on games, because I've noticed that's kind of when games started going downhill. Because I am not seeing anything. I mean, even though it's annoying that Apex ultimately killed Titanfall, I enjoyed Apex Legend. It's a space shooter, you're right. I thought so. Wait, Jim Henson's The Dark Crystal's Age of Resistance Tactics. That is a long title for your Windows app for worldwide. Zombie Army 4 Dead War Season 1. Oh, it's just the pass. My friend recommended Zombie Army 4. We played a little bit of it. Thought it was pretty solid, pretty okay. All right. And here we are. Well, if you wanted to play Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, it's released. Apparently, you can have gay sex with some guy. Well, his name... I was reading you could, like, get into a gay relationship with, like, Henry, someone named Henry, I think, and everyone was, like, pointing out, like, that guy was, like, a womanizer. Like... because I think it was an actual historical figure, maybe. I don't know. I know there was talk about it. I'm not interested in it in the slightest. But that is all I have for today's show. So I'm looking forward to the Onimusha game. I hope that they don't bastardize it in some way, shape, and form. So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to dip for tonight. We were on YouTube, Rumble, and X. If you enjoyed the stream, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button and turn on notifications to get notified when I go live, whether that's doing the Power Up podcast show, whether solo or with a guest, or when I stream. Usually try to do everything around 8 p.m. Central Time. Right now we're playing X-Men Legends 2 and Rise of the Apocalypse and Mario and Luigi Brothership. The X-Men Legends 2, we're getting close to the end. We're like, I believe in arc, well, I want to say arc 5, but really act 5. I'm combining chapter and arc and act all together. Heard about that, LOL, same, looking forward to it as well. Yes, I'm looking forward to it. So we'll probably be wrapping up X-Men Legends 2 here shortly. And then I might looking into getting the Marvel Alliance games, because those are kind of similar in gameplay style. Thanks for hanging out, Blastoise. Take care. See you next time for sure. Thanks again for everyone for your support. You guys have a good rest of your night. Take care. God bless. Actually, before we sign off, see if anybody's online that we can redirect. Let's see. Oh gosh, Varadark is playing Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. We'll raid her. Why not? That'll be a goodie. Alrighty. I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Take care. God bless. And until then, see ya. Peace.